to Bold Beginnings, where we teach and show you how God works in our careers and our lives, what His purpose is for us, and why we should trust Him in everything that we do. My name is Rita Wilson.
And I'm Sandra Fernandez.
And we are back
with Alex. Part 2, Life Update.
Part 2.
Life Update. Hi, Alex.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Doing good.
Yeah.
We are happy to have you back. So I just have to share this, guys, okay? Like, I have to share this because it was amazing, and we didn't catch it on camera. But the last time we met with Alex, after the episode, he gave his life to Christ. It was beautiful. He's like, yes, I did. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. That is actually the first person on the podcast we've had give their life to Christ, which is awesome. You're also the first person that we had on the podcast that's kind of like surfacing.
Still kind of tiptoeing through. Yeah.
Just trying to find the Lord, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. But I thought that was beautiful. So thank you for, like, that was so special to me that moment was shared here. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it could have happened anywhere, and it would have been amazing, right? Because that's the when, you know, like heaven, we have, like, for the kingdom. Yeah. But I'm just, like, blessed to have had that happen here. So, thank you for being so willing and open and just, like, learning to love the Lord.
Yeah.
I love it, learning to build a relationship. So you were tiptoeing. You told us a lot of great stuff. And then, like, you gave your life to Christ, which was beautiful. Like, where are you now?
Just kind of a lot of life. It's kind of been a little bit of a whirlwind.
I'm like, have you felt the attack of the enemy yet? Because, you know, he's been...
I'm single again.
Oh, okay. He's like, it's done.
So, there's been a lot of good. There's been a lot of shifts, I would say. It has been interesting. I was invited to go to a service, and I went, and
a church service.
So it was actually my
Wait a minute, who are you? Is
so
your name Alex?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that would probably have a much really reaction to that one. But yeah, I was
feel like
invited.
if the reaction isn't what?
Yeah, then it's not.
Yeah. That's fair.
Good one.
And it was just kind of funny. We were there, and it was almost impromptu. So I was staying at my boss's place for a training, and her and I think I mentioned her last time. She's been really supportive of this journey, and she just told me, she's like, you know what? I haven't been to church for a while, and I was just prompted. We should go.
Wow.
You don't. She's like, I'm gonna go. You know, you don't have to. No pressure. And I was just kind of like, oh, like all of a sudden there was a little bit of a. I've not been to church since I was like, I've not attended a service since I was like 12 or 13. Like I was like, you know what? Let's go. And it was really funny because that was I remember during the course it was just a non-denominational, and we got there a little bit late, so we missed a lot of the singing, but. But
you made it. You walked through the door.
I walked through the door, and despite popular belief, there was no bursting into flames or anything like that. It was just
so dry.
And but yeah, there was one point I turned to her and I said, "Did you talk to him before we showed up?" Because like everything about that message, like she was even sitting back going like, "Oh, he's gonna think I set him up." And, And it was just kind of a very good. It was kind of what I needed to hear, and then since then, there's been a lot of shifts, opportunities coming up, opportunities leaving, and like kind of one of the things that I've started doing is I have started praying a lot more.
Amen.
And
so beautiful.
I try to keep other people in my prayers more than myself.
Come on, Alex.
I'm like, Alex, who is he?
But my simple asks are generally help me through my struggles, put the people who I need in front of me, and put the people who need me in front of them.
Amen.
And stuff. So that's kind of been the simplicity of it, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been kind of a whirlwind. You challenged me last time to read.
Yes.
I haven't opened the physical copy. I was going to look for it, but I think it might be my storage unit, actually.
You know what, Alex? I might have
We
to
just
show
need to
up.
give him one at this
I'm
point.
just going to show up and bring you a Bible.
But is what's good, though, is it's all online.
You can
You
find
don't
a
need
digital
to-
copy. You can find a digital
He's
copy.
like, it's all online.
So
No, that's fair. That's
I love
great.
it. Yeah.
So I still every once in a while will be scrolling TikTok and get like a prompting to look up a Bible verse, and
Look at
those are
that.
still kind of poignant. But
Yeah.
but I've instead of just reading the one part, I've expanded to I'll usually read the whole chapter.
Look at that.
And the one that I think I'm gonna get this wrong.
It's okay.
I think it was Psalms 91. Was the last one I read, and that was very much just all about putting your faith in the Lord.
Ooh.
And I was like, all right. And then it's been kind of interesting too because my oldest, I didn't know it as much, but she's been on a similar journey.
Oh, wow.
And so like the past couple weeks, I've actually not been like in this since I saw you last. I've been to Michigan. I've been to Vegas. She went out to San Diego for a school trip, and it's just been here, there, and everywhere. And so I haven't really been able to see her as much. But this last Wednesday, I was able to sit down, and we got talking, and she was just like, I could tell like she was still searching and kind of lost. And we ended up having a good conversation about where she's at in life and
Look at that.
different things. And I just told her, I said, you know, because I live in Magna and she lives in Tooele, so it's at least a 20-minute drive if, you know, speed limits are suggestions. So but so it's a little bit of a trip when I go see him every week, but you know, it's what you do. They're your
Right.
kids.
For your
There's no
kids.
way I'm not going to. And so I told her, I said, you know, if you want to start going, because she had a boyfriend and they started going to church a little bit, and then they've since broke up. And then she told me, she said, I still want to go, but I don't want to go with him there. And it seemed like it was more or less good terms, but it's still, he broke up with her and stuff like that. And so I said, well, that's fine, I'll go. I said, I'm not going to be able to this Sunday because I had already committed to this. But I said, next Sunday, I'll go with you. And then I looked at the calendar and I was like, well, next Sunday's Easter. And I
would be
think,
perfect.
I was like, I think your mom has you for Easter this year. Well, then just kind of out of the blue. And she asked, and I heard her on the phone. She said, yeah, I should get him this year. Well, then out of nowhere, she just messaged me and said, hey, you can have the kids over the weekend.
Oh, wow.
So
Look at
yeah.
God.
So we're gonna.
Because I know when we were talking previously, that was hard. Like, that's God. That's beautiful. I'm all set, man. That's Jesus in your life if you didn't know.
But yeah, even on that front,
Look at that.
with their mother, there's been a couple things where I haven't really felt necessarily like I've been doing anything different. Maybe a little bit more consistent. But she even made the comment, you know, because it was a little bit nasty there for a little bit between us, and she's like, I feel like we're finally co-parenting. And so that's good for the kids.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
even after everything that happened, I had a truck, and you know, and she messaged me, and this was kind of before I started like really looking, but just for me, I've always decided I'm going to show up as the example that I want my children to be.
Right.
So, you know, kind of that
Beautiful.
idea of as a father, I feel like I should be the man that my son aspires to, and the man that my daughters want to be with.
Want to be with. Hey,
So
say that again. Say it louder.
so that's, I mean, I feel like in a nutshell, if I can accomplish that, then I've done a good
beautiful.
job. So when we were just like really in the middle of it, she messaged me and was like, "You're the only person I know with a truck, and I need to move."
Aww.
And I was like, "Well, good luck with that." Like, to be honest, I was like, "No, I'm good. That's fine." And then I had kind of a change of heart. I was like, "That's my kid's stuff that needs to move.
Yeah.
And like that's how do I want to show up?" So that, and so
I like that. I want to show up.
but even with that, since then there has been a little bit of animosity and stuff like that, and it's just been kind of different the last little bit. Where
So your daughter moved in with you?
no,
Oh, okay.
no, it was just they had to move. They were in a situation.
Oh, okay. They had to move. Got
Yeah,
it.
so they're in Twilla now. She was in West Valley. They're in
okay.
Twilla now because she had to move back in with her mom.
Oh, okay.
And
So you went and helped because it was the right thing
Yeah.
to do.
yeah, there was definitely a little bit where it was like, what am I doing here? But it's
Like, but I know.
yeah.
I love that.
And so just kind of in that same vein, I told her I'd start going to church with her if that's what she needed or wanted.
Look at that.
And so it's kind of interesting. I'm going to see him Wednesday before the weekend. So I'll invite the other two along, but I also like just tell them, hey, this is what we're going to do. If you want to come along, that's
Look
fine.
at that.
But so, yeah, it's just been kind of interesting watching, I guess, the pieces move since I've started doing this.
And you don't even have to really try as hard or lift a finger. It's just kind of coming to you, huh?
Yeah. There's, like I said, there were certain plans in place that apparently were not for me.
Yep, that makes sense.
But there's also a lot where things happened that I didn't expect. Like there was an event and for business side and there was an event and I wasn't going to be able to make it because I was busy. It was like a 3-day thing. Well, my buddy messaged me and he says they have a day pass, just $30, get up here.
What?
And I was like, okay. And now all of a sudden I kind of said that before put the people that I need in front of me and put the people who need me in front of them.
Look at that.
And I went to this lunch with a guy and I didn't know it, but like he's going through divorce. He's struggling. And it was just kind of a cool ability to just reach out. We had a good conversation. And then I also have another opportunity. I can't speak too much about it, but if that comes through, then all of a sudden, and like he just approached me. We've known each other for a while through this group, but it was just kind of funny. He approached me. We started talking. Then we had a follow up where I got on his calendar and we did a Zoom link because he lives in, I forget which state, but he lives back east more. And it was, it actually, when we first started talking, it was like, that's not, we both agreed that what he was looking for was not what I do. And then all of a sudden the conversation just kind of changed to, well, what if we went this route?
Oh, wow.
And so there's a big opportunity.
There's a door right there.
Yeah, that all of a sudden just presented itself. And it, like I said, it'll change things for me a little bit, but it's still kind of in the same vein of what I've been doing. Right. So it's just kind of,
I'm like, what I'm about to say? It's Jesus. It's God.
So, yeah. And
beautiful.
Just exploring more about what, I'm still TikTok.
Yes.
So still getting a lot of information
TikTok
from TikTok.
Bible. What if?
Thank you. Save
Save
your
your life.
So, but that's also what's funny is my algorithm on that is quite a bit changed. So,
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You can impact people on there.
Yeah.
It's
just kind of funny how like.
I'm like, where are you? We're gonna go follow you.
I personally don't get on there too much making content, but the content that I'm following, like I've noticed that I've gotten a lot more, like it's just kind of completely changed over the past month.
Wow.
I didn't know about it, but like now I want to go. There's the series The Chosen. I'm sure most people have heard of that. I'm new to this, so I was just like, I started kind of catching clips off of that, and I'm like, that looks really good. I think I want to go watch that series now and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So just kind of still very much learning, but
You know what's funny is that one time I was at the airport. It was last year. I don't know where I went, but I went somewhere, Michigan. And I was at the airport. I had to go work on a bride in Michigan. On my way back, where was I? I don't know if I was in Detroit. Maybe I was in Detroit. There's this guy that's standing at the gate, and I'm like, that guy looks like a cameraman. And then he turns around, and it says The Chosen on his shirt, and I'm like, he looks like a cameraman. He's going to Salt Lake City, because I don't know if you knew, but they actually film The Chosen out here in Utah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So I'm like, he's going to Salt Lake City. He looks like a cameraman. I'm going to go talk to him. So I go talk to him, and I'm like, are you on The Chosen crew? And he's like, oh, wow. He's like, yeah, I am. He's like, how'd you know? And I was like, well, you look like a cameraman. And I was like, and your shirt, and you're going to Salt Lake. I was like, and he just starts laughing. He's like, yeah. He's like, I am. And I was like, that is so cool. But I didn't know they filmed it here until, so one of my good friends, she does makeup for The Chosen for the film.
That's awesome.
And that's how I found out it was here in Utah, because she was posting about it. And I was like, is she somewhere, or are they here?
That's so
cool.
cool.
And so then I saw the guy, and I was like, he's going to Salt Lake. He looks like it. And yeah, but anyways.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of things that are filmed here. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. It's because we have it's so diverse here, where with scenery, like we have so much,
a lot of mountain,
different kinds of scenery.
Land.
You could do Western, you could do modern.
Yeah,
you could
go
do
a little bit further
desert,
south. And
forests, everything, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. That's cool, though. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's kind of what I've been up to, I guess, in a nutshell.
Nice. Awesome. That's really cool. What's something that you have learned, like a lesson that has really just impacted you so far?
Well, when things started changing, there was a lot of like anxiety.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of unease just in general. And you know, like I said, I kind of expected my life to be going one way, and then you know people were taken out of it, and it was, I just kind of had that moment where like I kind of had a full panic attack, and just like I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and then I just kind of went, then I'm not going to decide. I'm just going to surrender.
Hey, man.
And that was
surrendering is hard.
It was, and every once in a while I still am like, but this would be really cool if it happened, you know. And but I've just kind of went, okay, whatever I need, you know. Hopefully it's not too much more in the way of character development, because that's those are the hardest lessons.
But you're just in the beginning.
Oh, I know. But
I'm like, it's coming.
But I mean, my full story. I mean, it was kind of funny. I realized that my life actually took kind of a downward turn.
Yeah.
About 7 years ago now. So I'm coming out of like a 7-year cycle.
Oh, wow.
And it was kind of funny, just because I watched this video, and it just said, it was just like I realized that it had been 7 years, and then it was shortly after it said that all debts are paid after 7 years. And I was just like, I hope so. That would be great.
You're like, have you let it all go?
Yeah.
They say like if you swallow gum or something after 7 years, you're fine, I think, is the saying, or something like that too.
Well, and I know,
or
like,
it stays in your stomach for 7 years. I don't know.
I know, like, it's also like, so what's funny is one of the superstitions is if you break a mirror, it's 7 years bad luck.
Okay, maybe it's that one. But you know what? The Lord created the world in 7 years.
But,
7 days.
7 days. Sorry,
I'm like,
but what's funny is the Romans believed that they were the ones that kind of started that, and they believed that everything was ever evolving, and the mirror was actually your soul. So you were seeing your soul. So if you broke the mirror, you broke your soul, and it takes your soul 7 years to heal. That's what they believe.
Look at.
So I don't know. 7 is a pretty prominent
It's
number.
a very prominent number, yeah.
But so I don't know exactly where that part of the belief came from, but I do know that that's where we get that. If you break a mirror, it's bad luck.
Right. That's really cool.
I like a lot of those weird little, like where sayings come from, and just kind of like.
That's
following
cool that
it
you
back.
actually research it and look into it. I'm just over here repeating stuff.
I'm like 7 years.
He's like, he's all actually just really doing.
He's
the
like, let me
research.
just correct you really quick.
Oh, I'm good at
Fact
the
check.
trivia and stuff
Trivia?
like that. Just a
Do you watch
compendium
those
of
shows and
useless
then
knowledge
think, like-
sometimes.
Do you watch like Jeopardy and stuff and then think like, oh, I could be on that show?
I do know a lot of the answers on there, but I'd never have really thought of like, oh, I should go apply. But just it's honestly it's the current events that get me raw.
Yeah.
Like when they start talking about current celebrities and stuff, I'm like, I don't really watch that
Oh,
much
yeah,
TV. I don't.
To even know who it is.
Yeah, like the last time I was like I saw this clip from the Grammys and I was like, I don't know who any of these people are at all. And then I think like Adam Sandler was there or something. I'm like, okay, I know that one, but he was in shorts and left or something like that. I
I'm
was
like,
like,
you're totally okay. All you need to know is the one celebrity is Jesus. Okay,
Yeah.
it's God.
yeah.
We're just gonna leave it.
That-
That's awesome.
I feel like the less I guess dwell in the current events and focus more on what I can control and what I'm doing in my life, just overall the happier that I generally am.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Have you had a moment where you were struggling and like just the surrender thing you talked about, right? Have you had another one like where you had to just get on your knees and pray, or have you had more than one of those, or was that kind of the only one?
So it was kind of interesting. I was having a moment, and I love music, and there was a song. It was kind of really weird because every time I've heard the song, I've always liked the song.
Oh, it sounds different now. You're like,
So what was crazy is it was kind of a song that like to me it was a little bit of a sad song. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to the lyrics and I just stopped and I said, this whole song is about a man praying. And like it hits so different because it's his conversation with God.
oh wow.
And like when I had that context, it was just very like I started crying. I was just like, he's been there the whole
touching
time.
your heart. You're like,
Yeah.
I've listened to this so many
Yeah.
times and I didn't.
Yeah.
That is so deep. You know what that reminds me? Like literally, I say this like I was so blinded by this world before, and like the veil has came off because everything I see now, I see it different.
Yeah.
And that's what made me think about when you said that, right? Like you've listened to the song how many times, and then this time you're like, wow, right?
Yeah, and
That's powerful.
yeah, it's basically like it was exactly what I needed to hear that day because the song is effectively like a guy doubting everything and like some of the and it's so funny because now that I see it, I'm like, how did I never not?
Because
Is this a country song?
No,
No?
Wow.
no, long hair is kind of a giveaway. It's a little bit more metal.
More
but-
metal. Oh wow. Okay. Well, you know what? The
Wow.
Lord speaks through metal too.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I think it's really cool too because He will use what you are actually paying attention to
Yeah.
speak to you as well.
Well, and one of the things that I kind of like on this journey is the fact that I realized that like, so like Jesus, he went to the lepers. He went to
Yeah,
like those
for
are the
sure.
people that needed to be saved. He
Yeah.
didn't need to go to the Pharisees to save them because they were already
They're
holier than thou. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Ah.
and so to me that really means like he's going to meet you where you are.
Right.
You better preach.
So like
I
so
think
like
it's
I'm not
gonna
going to
be
listen
really
to
cool.
a lot of the country music
love
that
Yes.
it.
but
He meets
then
you
I'll-
where you are.
but he
yeah.
meets me where I am.
I think it's going to be
beautiful.
really cool, Alex. Sorry to cut you off, but to watch your first episode and then watch your second episode.
Yeah, I feel like
And
there's
it's
been
not
a lot
even
of
that
changes.
long of a period.
No, it's really been. Oh my gosh, it's only been like a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, has it been
Yeah,
that
'cause
long?
yours
I
is
need
barely-
a seatbelt. Buckle up.
Like, imagine a month. Yeah. All that stuff in just a month.
And
Yeah.
this is probably super off topic and weird to say, and just I'm gonna say it because this podcast is raw. I'm like, you walked up, I'm like, he looks like he lost some weight. Did you lose some weight?
Yes.
I
You know
knew
what?
it.
when you walked up to the door, I was like, is that the
I
same
was
man?
like, who is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Looking
Yeah.
slimmer, just confident.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, there's I guess that does kind of come with there's I don't have to worry. I've given that up.
Go. I'm leaving. The show's done.
Tell me you're hanging out with the Lord without
I'm just
telling me you're
like-
hanging out with the Lord.
Listen, Alex.
Like, I mean,
you just said
to say it's completely
It's so
gone.
crazy because I think
But
everybody goes through this. I mean, from the testimonies that I have heard, from the stories that I have heard, when you first get into that relationship with Christ, it's like
I love it.
so similar. Yeah.
That was powerful.
Yeah.
Just being said like that.
Yeah. That's really cool.
yeah, and that was, I guess, another moment if we're talking about like where I just had to pray.
Yeah.
I did. I said, please take this worry out of my heart. Takes it and just fill me with your love. And,
Wow.
And since I kind of, and since I did that, I mean, to say that I don't worry about what's going on,
Right.
that's, I still worry.
Right.
I've got 3 kids that I don't see enough, and my oldest is turning 17 this year. Like I got worries,
Yeah.
but not in the same. It's like I'm looking out. Actually, I had a buddy, which is funny that I'm going to reference him here because he's very anti-religion and everything. But I was hanging out with him,
What's
and
up, buddy?
he said, it's like people get so like you're driving down the road. He's like, the analogy he used was, I'm the kind of person that I drive down the road and I see a nail, I avoid it. But I'm not looking for the nail.
Go ahead.
But there's so many people that get so focused on trying to find the nail that they're not focused on the road anymore.
Right.
I love it.
And so,
That's
there's
so
still
good.
nails in the road.
That's
I need
so
to worry. Yeah, exactly. And it was
Yes.
just kind of funny. Actually, on that same road trip, so he took me out to a show. We went to Vegas, went out to a show. Very not a cool Vegas story, to be quite honest. Like, we had a good time, but it wasn't like a Vegas story.
You're like, I'm not in the same mindset. Vegas is different this time.
Well, it was just, it was a little bit more, I wasn't supposed to go. He was going to take his girlfriend. She couldn't make it, and he just called me up. He said, you want to go to Vegas? I'm like, I can't afford Vegas, man. And he was like, I got you. Let's just go. I said, oh, well, we'll chalk it up to, it was my birthday week. So I was like, we'll chalk it up to happy birthday to me. And he laughed. He's like, that's fine. Well, then there was little moments, and we went to see a band, Bullet for My Valentine. And for anybody who has heard that music, it kind of hurt a little bit because it was their 20-year tour. And I'm like, I am old. I am getting old. But anyway, so we're sitting there, and I just had this moment. I was talking with him because we're pretty open with each other still, and I told him about my oldest, and it was kind of in talking with him that I decided, like I said, when I get back, I'm going to reach out to her and I'm going to say, I'm going to take, I'm going to reach out and take you to church. Well, he had that on, and the song clicked over, and you just hear, "Let's go!" I'm like, I just started. Him and I both just started laughing. I'm like, "Hear you? I got it. All right, let's go." So
I see what you're doing here, Lord.
Yeah, it was just really funny. So then I did. When I got back, I gave her a call, and she really liked that idea. And but yeah, so just it's been a lot. It's been
That's a lot.
Quite the speed up. Yes.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. I love when you said the when I said, hey, you look like you lost some weight, you're like, I kind of just gave it to him. You know what I'm saying? How beautiful. Just give it to him. Lord, this is what I'm struggling with. Help me with it. And look, you lost weight. Seriously, like a good amount of weight too. I was like, he's lost a good amount of weight. Look at that.
It has. It's just been a little bit of a, like I say, everything's kind of changed. I have in some ways I've met a lot of new people, and in other ways I've kind of been isolated. It's really.
I was gonna ask if you had any challenges.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was some things that was coming through that I thought was going to close, And that was kind of that breaking point is, I was not like, I'm like, I don't even know how I'm going to pay my bills this month. Like it all hit me all at once. Yeah. And,
look at God.
Yeah, I was like, and that was if I'm being candid, there was a moment where I'm like, man, I'm doing all this stuff and I'm seeing all these signs, and then I'm just going to get there was that moment of doubt where I'm just like, am I doing this? I just kind of had this like moment where I was like, I feel like I shouldn't be going through all of this right now. Like, why is everything coming to a head right now? And then I just stopped and went, because it's not about my timing. So if it is to be, I'm going to let it be. So I just kind of pulled back, swallowed my pride a little bit, and went, we'll figure it out.
And let him do it.
And there have been little things pop out of the woodworks that have, kept me afloat and things like that.
Trusting.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. Like, you're trusting without saying, I'm trusting. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just trusting that he's going to take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, I had to take a hard look and go, okay, if certain things happen, what are my priorities? It was
right.
very much crunch time, but I still just kind of went, okay, just it's your time. And it's little things too, like, because I was confused. I'm like, why would you put this big business opportunity in front of me to have me have to step away? And then I just stopped and I went, because if I step away, I don't get to fulfill this side of it.
Go ahead.
So I'm not going to step away. I'm just going to stay the course. I'm going to trust that it's all going to work out like it should.
In your timing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so just kind of, that's where a lot of, like I say, the anxiety and things like that, I was able to just kind of let it go.
Because you're giving it to him.
Yeah.
Are you feeling peace in the chaos?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Look at Jesus. I'm serious.
Yeah. It's what's funny is there's another song. I like it.
Let's hear
but
it.
it's by 10 Year, and that's the chorus. I'm fine in the fire. I feed on the friction. I'm right where I should be.
Yes.
And I was just like, okay, like there's that moment of realizing what I need to do, because I still am a firm believer, like, God helps those who help themselves.
Yes.
So I do believe in giving the anxiety, giving up the worry, but I still got to put, I still got to strap on the boots and get to work.
Right.
And so that's kind of what I've done but it's weird because then I've been able to have conversations with people differently. I'm actually, like, there's been different opportunities that I wouldn't have had because I wouldn't have approached people in that capacity. So it's been really, it's been interesting. So I see all these things where it's like, okay, I'm planning something big for you.
Yes.
And then everything hits and it's like, I can't perform. I can't fulfill.
Right.
Like, I've got to go do this. That's going to take time away from what I'm working on.
Right.
And I just went, or something will work and I'm just going to stay the course. And so that's what I decided. And already I've had people, because when I have a lot, I've always been the person that tries to give back, pay forward. Even before, like I decided that this was the journey I was going to take, we would have missionaries come over. And I would tell them point blank, I was, when I was 8, I was baptized in the LDS faith. And so when the missionaries would come, I would just tell them, I'm like, well, if you're here just for numbers, that box is kind of already checked for me. So, but if you're going through, if it's a hot day, come in for water. If it's a cold day, come in to warm up. If you want to practice a lesson, feel free. If you want to just kind of come in and have a conversation, that's my favorite. And so we had a good rotation of missionaries for a while, but you know, to
I
me,
love that you were transparent with them.
yeah, I believe in honesty, you know, and the way I looked at it even then was, if you're going to dedicate 2 years of your life to serve your faith, who am I to try to make that harder?
Right.
You know what? I've always thought that too. Like whenever missionaries would come over and stuff, like I would sit with them. It didn't matter what religion, because at the end of the day, I do believe that the Lord says, I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Yeah.
You'll see
Nobody comes to God except through me. Right? It's not even through a Christian building church. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's confessing and declaring that Jesus is Lord, right? And so it's really cool to have conversations with people who have accepted Christ, even if it's in a different religion.
Yeah, and especially with where I'm at, you know, I'm always curious. I've learned a lot of the different. Well, I've started to. I'm definitely not like an expert theologian, but just like the different denominations.
Like you will be.
But just like the different denominations, what they say, what they believe. It is interesting to me how a lot of them read from the same book, but come up with different ideas.
Or pick and choose which traditions they're going to keep and which ones they're going to discard. Yeah. And
so, I mean, even, I think I said this the last time, and I still believe that, you know, my relationship with God is just that, my relationship.
Right.
And so I still wouldn't necessarily claim any specific denomination, just because I haven't felt like there's been one that's like, no, all the boxes are checked.
Right.
But for me, it's more about the journey and the learning and realizing, like, and the faith. Like, it was one of those where I just had to stop and go, like, my point isn't to have all the answers. My point is to just have faith that it's getting taken care of. The faith in the Word. And when you start getting nitpicky with a lot of the different things, and I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying that I think it detracts from the bigger.
Yes, and you know what? I think it gets a little like iffy, but I do believe that you do have to be planted somewhere to grow and to continue. But if you start, it's like I've told Rita, and kind of like in every job, there's always something, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is in church too. Sometimes, you know, there's always going to be politics in church, as much as like you think there's not. There is. There's always going to be traditions and every rules, whatever. You know what I mean? Even in the ones that don't go by the rules, there's still rules. Does that make sense? And it makes sense. We're human, and we thrive off of systems and structure, and you know what I'm saying? But I think that's really cool that you're approaching it like you're putting a lot of importance into your personal relationship with God and not focusing so much on
everything else.
Yeah. And I mean, I do, like, when I attended the service, I did like it, and I did feel closer. And so to that
and we need
end,
community too.
Yeah, to that end, I would definitely say that that's good. But yeah, as far as like a strict, and I didn't realize how many different denominations there were.
Yeah,
like, it's
so
kind
many.
of crazy. So I was just like, and I thought that I was like kind of a little bit more well versed on like the more the academic side of it, but then all of a sudden I'm like, there's division in the divisions sometimes. It's like, okay,
or these guys like blue and these ones like purple. So
yeah. So instead of getting, I guess, inundated with it, it's more of like it's a curiosity. I like learning about it, but I feel like I'm kind of on my own little journey. So as far as who's right, that's not for me to decide.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favorite sayings forever has been, you know, there's only one way to know, and I'm not willing to take that journey quite yet. So, so
there's only one way.
All things will be revealed. Just that one. That one I hope is a little bit longer timing.
Yes. I love it.
So
I love it. Look at you. I love it. I'm so glad I messaged you by my friend Angel, and then I'm like, hey, you want to come back? You're like, yeah. It's like, that was quick.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And I think that's really, really cool. to see the difference and to see where you're at now.
Yeah. And we want to keep, I don't know, keep following it.
She wants to keep tabs on you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what
that's
she's
fine. That's fine.
Calm down.
She wants to know where you're at, what you're doing,
I don't know, maybe one day, like,
how life is going.
I'll, like, grab Jerry and we'll follow you around or something. I mean, just to make it fun and different, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a day in the life of Alex or something.
You're like, wow, that's a lot of driving.
Out, you know?
No.
You're like, you in your car again? We gotta go, Alex.
You live in your car, you live on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I live in my car, I swear.
Yeah.
I'm here, there, and everywhere. I've kind of always been that person that's not like I've always been willing to make the drive. So that usually means I'm the person driving.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then maybe we might not do a day in the life. I might have to pop up at your work and be like, hey, Jared's here. Do you have 30 minutes?
Do you have 30 minutes?
That might be fun. Just
Yeah.
pop up and, like, do an interview where you're at just to drop in. Because you never know what you could be going through that day. Maybe we could pray together. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah. I mean, especially depending
Powerful.
on the day, like, you know, you can never have too much good.
yes.
Right.
I like that. I thought you were going to say too much Jesus. I was trying to finish it.
Is there anything that God has placed on your heart that maybe before
good
it
one.
wasn't on your heart?
Ooh, that's a good
Or
one.
do you, yeah.
So for me, I think a lot of it is that surrender. I wouldn't say that I've been necessarily a control freak, and I've always
Right.
believed that people do what they do.
Yeah.
But for me in my own life, I like to plan. I like to know the next move,
With God, you don't know tomorrow.
yeah. And I've woken up and just some days and went, well, here we go. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen.
I'm living
but
by the edge of my seat. This is dangerous.
yes,
It's a
yes.
good dangerous.
But I kind of started incorporating that as where like
Surrender.
just put the people I need to meet in front of me.
Beautiful.
And I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know what's going on. And it was really funny, even with your message about about your friend. I was talking with my friend, and I was just like, it's kind of crazy because like I just need to like give it all up. Like it was earlier that week that I had just decided, okay. It's not worth worrying about because it's all it's doing is keeping me trapped.
Look.
And so I'm just going to give all of that up, and I'm going to have faith that he has what's best for me.
Amen.
So
'Cause he does.
whatever that entails, let's go through it. And if I'm following the breadcrumbs, I'm going to lead them where they lead.
Yeah.
You know, some of those breadcrumbs feel like full loaves sometimes. They're a little bit more to
I
swallow
love
there,
to
but
swallow.
You're like, I'm still chewing.
yeah. But it was very much like after I did that I would say that was a big shift, is where I stopped worrying about being successful, stopped worrying about where the next thing is going to come from, and then it started to just come. And so it was just kind of funny that I was telling him, I'm like, so now I've realized there's a lot more opportunity coming.
Yes.
And in that conversation, like I had said that, and then you messaged me.
Oh, wow. Did y'all hear that?
So it was just really funny, and I just looked at that, and I just handed him my phone.
Oh.
And at first he was like, "Wait, so what is this?" Like he didn't really comprehend what it was, and I was like, "That's potentially another deal, and that's potentially like that's more opportunity."
Look at that.
So
Beautiful.
yeah, and
I was supposed to text you the night before, and I didn't, So I was like, this girl needs help. Alex, please call her.
I guess it was just divine timing, right?
Look at that.
And I think
it.
that's one thing that I've noticed is I've always been very kind of tongue in cheek and like a little bit. I love to laugh and I love the humor, and so I guess the irony isn't lost, and so I think going back to God meets you where you are.
Yes.
It's a little bit more slapstick, I feel like, but maybe that's just because I need a good knock every once in a while. But yeah, it's very much like, oh, I see what you did there.
Wow.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
And it's the little things, like even my buddy was like, he was the one who just started laughing too. He's like, well, if that wasn't something, and he's the one that's like,
anti.
Yeah, he has his
You're
own views
gonna
on
slowly
religion.
just, if you're watching this, slowly just bring him in. Because I know from my experience, I've learned like you can bring people to Christ just by being who you are, right? Just by being truly true to who you are. You can bring people to Christ, right? Not trying to pretend or fake, like just being you. I've seen it happen time and time again. So
yeah, and I think one of the through this, two of the things that I noticed is I'm still me, first of all.
I love that. Don't lose yourself. Right?
Yeah, like I feel like
Just
especially
you
on
and
the
Christ.
outside looking in, you see like people who even in cinema, it kind of builds this expectation that like you're getting hounded. Oh, I need to save you, and so it's like
I used to be that
intimidating.
girl trying to save everybody and their mama.
And it
Told me let it go.
yeah. But like for me, not on that path, it's like, what are you doing? Like it was intimidating.
Right.
And so like for me, that hasn't been the case. I haven't like been on the mission to like
Save everybody.
but at the same time, it's funny because then just being open to where they are, where they're at, then all of a sudden now like me and my daughter are going to go to church.
Yeah.
And
Just true to who you are. I love it.
and so yeah, and then and I also believe in kind of even going back to I've found a lot of parallels between me as a father and Father in heaven.
Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah.
So like I was
ahead.
telling like I was having this conversation where like for me I don't want my children to be hurt, but I also don't want them but they have to go through trials.
Right.
Kind of goes back to that, when you ask God for strength, he gives you challenges.
Go ahead.
And so kind of that same, like, I this weird thing, because a lot of people have said, like, why does God let bad things happen?
Right.
Because he's giving you the opportunity to learn.
Yes.
And so, like, I had to kind of hit that rock bottom a little bit, like, be completely worried about where where's this going to come from? And to just go, it'll work.
Right.
So I needed to learn surrender. So
Yeah.
he had to break me,
Yeah.
so to speak.
And that's what he's been doing.
And so like even with my children, I've realized that like the way I talk to them is more of like I've always been that that person that let's get you on the bike. I fell down. Great. So actually, here's a story. We went shooting, just target practice shooting, and the rifle that I had a collapsible stock, and my kids were younger, and this was like their first experience with guns. And so I held the rifle, but I collapsed it so that they could still shoulder it, so they would still feel it. Well, I'm like just looking down there. I know they're not going to hit the target, and it's a mountainside behind us, so I'm not worried about that. But then I said, okay, when you're ready, pull the trigger. And my middle child, she pulled the trigger, and I just hear ah, and she had put her eye on the scope, and then pulled the trigger.
No.
Now this was just a .223 caliber, so it
Yeah.
wasn't like a big rifle or anything.
Have like some crazy,
But
crazy black eye.
it still nicked her, and she was like, no, and I was like, oh my gosh, and she's like, I'm done. And I said, not yet. And she just went, what do you mean? And I said, you had a bad experience. Let's give you a good one.
Right.
Now you know what not to do.
Right.
And I feel like that's very much in my life where I'm at is I got scoped, and now God's showing me what, hey, this is all the things that you should learn
Yeah.
not to do.
Yes.
Right. Now let's
So
do
now
it again.
let's do it again, and this time
Yeah.
do it right.
Right.
I love that
And-
you did that with her, though.
Yeah.
Like, what a
I think
great
that's
learning
so powerful
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think that God wants us to live in fear. So
Go
when
ahead.
when those
Just
those
kidding.
moments happen,
So good.
you have to jump back in.
Say,
Come on, Alex. You're speaking to my soul right
I'm
now.
like, I feel like I'm in church and you're just sitting here right now. Do you hear this?
I'm processing. No, but I think that is so powerful.
Beautiful.
Don't be afraid to jump back in.
Yeah. And so
That's a t-shirt.
It really is,
That's
Alex.
a t-shirt.
That is a word.
so,
That is a word. Wow. Don't be afraid to jump back in.
yeah.
But you did it. You're a prime example. I mean, you're living it and
Right.
you're doing it, but also you're teaching it, right? Like it's you're like putting it out there. You're not just keeping it for your, like, that's God's light.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And actually, that was kind of, I guess, a little epitome moment for me, too, is I've always been able to speak with people, and I feel like I'm pretty personable. Like, I've been told, I have a certain charisma about me. But is what's kind of funny is I've also had, like, I felt like I needed to be a certain way so that people would like me. And there's like an anxiety that would come up with it. So people who I thought were a little bit more influential, I wouldn't approach them because I wasn't on their level, so to speak. And
not with God.
And I just kind of was like, okay, so I kind of naturally say things that inspire people. That's been told to me, and I've been told that I have this charisma, and I've always felt kind of a compel to be in a leadership situation, but I've always kind of denied that because I've always thought, that's not
enough.
me. Yeah, that's not me. And just kind of really stopping and going, maybe this is the gift that I've been squandering. Maybe I should be talking more. Maybe I should be reaching out to people more.
But you work with people. That's your job.
Yeah.
You work with people.
Yeah.
And, I know people sometimes, like, I'm trying to find my purpose. I don't know what my purpose is or what I should be doing. But they don't take the time to stop and say, like, what am I naturally good at? Because there's some things we're just naturally good at. And with me, that is people. It's like it comes just flawless, right?
Yeah.
And so then you have to take that and use it, especially in, like, the career you're in, right?
Yeah.
It's so funny, you're talking and I just see you impacting people where you are, right? And God moving you up and up and up and up, and you're just impacting and changing lives, but not like in this crazy way just by being you, but you're really touching, and it's just going up and up and up. You're great with people. You work with people for a reason.
Yeah.
And you're changing into this just beautiful, spiritually beautiful human,
Well,
so.
and when you were saying that, it just kind of clicked to me, like, that's how I just described how like my goal as a father.
Yep.
Right.
Well, that goes back into being the example. That's probably how, like, for me, that's always worked as far as, like, how I influence people is I just try to be the person that I want people to be. I don't try to, like, if I don't cheat people because I don't want to be cheated.
Right.
I'm honest, sometimes to a fault, because I expect critical honesty.
Right. You'll give what you want back, right?
Yeah.
So
and I've told everybody, if I'm not doing a good job, let me know. Because if you tell me I'm doing a good job, that's the job you're going to get. So kind of going along that lines of, that's, I think, how I've attracted people is I've just kind of, I try to be the example of the person I want in my life.
And it's so simple for you. Like, it's so simple. You're naturally a good person. People are just going to I pick up on it, right? Like, people are going to pick up on that.
Right.
And that's how you're going to, because I think sometimes we think we need to, like, impact and change lives in these big ways. You know what I'm saying? And that's not for everybody, but it doesn't mean God doesn't have a purpose for you, or you. It's just, it's different, right? I was talking to somebody like months ago, and I was like, God has, like, it's like, see us like his children, right? We're all his soldiers, right? But there are some people he has in the front, right? In the middle, in the back. But all of those pieces have a purpose.
Right.
All of those pieces have a purpose. And the person that's in the front is no better than the person in the back or in the middle. Like she said, we're all on the same, right? But we're all pieces to this one big, beautiful puzzle, right?
Right.
And we just need to come together instead of worrying about, well, I want to be where this person's at. And me and Eva even talked about that a little bit in the room, right? We're so worried about other people and what's going on with them, and it's big and it's light, this is what I want to be, but it's like you're missing what the Lord has for you, and that's why he's like, I'm not going to sit here too long, I'm going to move on, right? Because if you don't see your value to this puzzle.
Well, and one of the things that I always thought is because for me, I kind of wrestled with two, I thought were kind of conflicting ideologies when it came to religion.
Okay.
God is all powerful and all knowing. We have free will. If we have free will, we can choose what we're going to do.
Right.
That means God doesn't know what we're going to do. So there was that conflict in my mind. And I struggled with that, and I kind of realized that I wouldn't say that our choices are inconsequential, because we do have free agency, and I do think that we get to make our own choices. And so and like the choice of, like, if we deny him, that's our choice, and he will respect our choices. But I also realize that he's the creator.
Right.
So in my mind, I kind of realized that, like, he's written out this giant play. Our free agency comes into which characters we're going to play.
Go ahead.
And so we still get to choose our roles.
Right.
But there's still a grand design.
Yeah.
And now he's picked our role. He's like, this is where I want you.
Right. He knows
And
each person.
yeah. And I think that he's like, I want to cast you in this role,
Right.
so to speak, if we're using that analogy. I want to cast you in this role. But you can totally go,
I don't want to.
I don't want to.
Yeah. He'll move on.
Yeah. Okay, well, that role still needs to be filled.
Right.
So I guess I'll bring
somebody
in an
else.
understudy, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel like we get to choose how we show up with God. And,
Yes. Choose how we show up with God.
And I think it's crazy because I think he leaves the role open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He'll still get his purpose done, but he leaves the role open
Yeah.
until you don't wake up
Yeah.
again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But every day that you wake up, you have a decision of whether you want to step into that character or not.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what's beautiful, you know, because even though we do have free will, it's like he told Peter, like, you're going to deny me. Peter's like, what? No, I'm not.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he knows us so much that we don't even know ourselves.
Yeah.
He knows us better than we know us.
Yeah.
He knows what we need before we even know that we need it.
Yeah. And that's just it, is like, because Peter definitely had the agency to deny him 400 or 500 more times.
He told Judah,
Yeah.
or Judas. What's his name?
Judas Iscariot.
Judas. You know what I mean? But like he told him,
Funny.
you know?
Yeah.
But he chose his end.
Well, yeah,
his route.
and even to that end, like, they both, in their own way, betrayed Jesus.
Right.
One couldn't handle it, took himself out of the play.
Which is so crazy. We won't even get into that.
I'm like, she's
Talk
going.
about that. But I can see how that could happen
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you isolate yourself from God.
Well, and so one of the things that I've also been thinking too is, like, a lot of people start talking about, like, hell being fire and brimstone, and we get that imagery, but
Hell's here.
I really feel like it's just that separation.
Yeah. Alex, you're opening a whole can of
I'm like,
we can go into.
don't get her started.
Because you know what? One time I was listening to somebody's testimony of his what is it called?
Near-death experience.
Near-death
That, when
experience,
somebody
yes.
almost dies, or they do die and come back. But he said that he went up to heaven first, I believe. Then he went down to hell. And when he was in hell, he said that everybody was thirsty, and that all he can remember was being thirsty. And
Oh, wow.
and that he said they weren't thirsty for water, they were thirsty for God. And God says he is the living water, right? Christ is the living water. And when I'm listening to this, the Lord placed it on my heart. When Jesus was on the cross, he says, I thirst, right? But there was that separation between him and God in that moment when he took on the sin of the world.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, was he thirsty because he got separated? You know what I mean? It was just this, like, moment that I had when I was watching this guy share his testimony. But anyway, sorry, that just made me think about it when you said that. How is that separation from God?
Yeah, and that's...
Sorry, did I like...
Oh,
take
so
your whole train
one
of
of the
thought?
things that you'll learn about me is if I'm easily distracted. So
I was like, he had already forgot about that.
He's in Australia
Yeah.
somewhere.
So like, I'm glad
I
you guys are
know that.
recording, because if you guys asked me to repeat anything that we said,
Watch,
I
we're
would
gonna
just
go
be
back
like,
and watch this,
huh?
and then you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about."
oh yeah. I could be like, oh yeah, that's where I was gonna go with that.
Yeah.
But no, I'm very much that way, where if I get on a roll, that's fine. Then all of a sudden I get a little bit derailed, and
You're like-
I'm like, okay, well, give it a
that was-
second. There'll be a new thought.
That was the end of that.
It's always kind of just churning.
Just turning.
So
Okay.
That is really, really cool. I'm so happy for you. I'm happy for your journey, and I'm happy for what's to come. And it's always super exciting to see God moving in somebody's life, and it's exciting even in the trials. It's
Beautiful.
Yeah, we will cheer because it's like, oh, he's ready. Something's coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when Rita called and she's like, girl, I just lost my job. I was like, girl, that's awesome. I was like, wait till you see what God
This
does.
girl is, I'm like, what? Did you hear me? She goes, yay, finally.
Because I said, you know what? It's about time somebody took you out. Because you're not
Because
gonna
I wasn't going to let go.
yeah.
You have to.
are you?
Eviction note. Yeah, but she's like, did you just hear what I said? I'm like, yeah, girl. That's a
She's
good
like, I'm
thing.
so
I was like,
excited.
because if God doesn't do it, you're not gonna do it.
Go ahead. And that's what God does, right? We take this wrong path, and he goes, well, this is what, he puts us back on. He still
Yeah.
I'm
fulfills.
like, yep, just
What he
watch.
wants to
I was
fulfill.
like, just watch.
Well, and I feel like even the
So-
people who don't necessarily come back, you see a lot of the times that they become examples. So
Always.
like,
Good one.
Lessons.
like yeah, you know, again, you can choose to wake up and change, or you can just keep going down that path. That's and everybody knows where that road leads.
Yes.
Like,
But why do we follow it? Why? Please.
I think
Ask myself. I did it.
Yeah, I still choose it sometimes.
yeah, I think it's just I mean it's ease, it's comfort in the moment.
Comfort, ease.
Like it's easy to just like
Yeah.
and that's I think
Is what we know.
that's a big change for me is discipline. I've always kind of felt like in some degrees I've lacked discipline, but I really realized that how lacking I was in this past month, and I was just like, I need to really. So I'm writing a lot more stuff down. And
You know what that's called, Alex? The fruit of the spirit.
the fruit of the spirit.
No, for real though, like you're bearing fruit
beautiful.
and you're blossoming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and through that, the Lord says like you'll know who is my children by their fruit, right?
Yeah.
And discipline is self-control is one of them.
yeah, and I think that's kind of why we go down that path is it's a little lack of discernment, lack of discipline, and it's
And
you
it's
know
a
it's the
way of
things that
being
feel
in
good now
control,
that
too.
feel and seeing that like there was a study where they took kids and they gave them a marshmallow and they said, hey, I'm going to come back
Yeah.
if you have this marshmallow, I'll give you another one.
Yeah.
Well, this study was done a number of years ago. They followed up with them, and the kids who didn't eat the marshmallow and got the reward, they learned about, like, they just kind of more inherently or had been taught about delayed gratification. And
Waiting for things.
Yeah.
and they were more successful moving forward than the kids that just ate the marshmallow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And
my
I
kids.
feel
They don't
like
eat the
that's
Girl, Zeke ate the
That's-
marshmallow when I did that. When that was trending, I'm like, Zeke, come here. He ate the marshmallow. It wasn't even
like-
marshmallow. I think it was like some chocolate that I gave him.
but see, it's good now.
Yeah.
And
instant.
instant gratification.
world.
It's so easy. It's now.
Fast
it's,
money.
Yeah, I'm happy now. I'm happy
Oh,
now.
dangerous.
And then all of a sudden, you see people who follow that path. People who just continually do it, and like even in bigger names, like you've seen in the news, like celebrities in their downfall.
Yeah. It won't be
because it was
easy.
just all about instant gratification,
Yeah.
and you just stop and go. how do you even get there? But you just, it's day by day.
You know what? Now that you said instant gratification, I picked up my son last night from his dad's, and we're driving home, and he's like, Mom, can we go get a grilled cheese at the Habit? And I'm like, yeah, we can stop by, because he hadn't had dinner. So we're driving, and he's like, I'm tired of this world, Mom. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm like concerned. I'm like, wait a minute, teenage years. Like, what do you mean? Well, okay, first off, when he got in the car, I could tell something was like bothering him. What I've learned and what I'm learning now is that when kids are little, and they like you walk in through the door, it's like a dog, right? Like you just want to be excited, and like they're excited, and mommy, and like baby, and God, you know. Once they start getting older, it's just they're not that interested in you anymore. You know what I mean? So then you kind of have to like play it cool. You know, and he calls me out. He's like, why are you trying to be chill, Mom? And I'm like, I'm being chill. You wanted me to be chill. I'm being chill. This is me being chill. He's like, you're chill, still not being chill. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But I learned you kind of have to be a cat now. A little bit more.
That's fair.
More, I'm here, but like, I'll give you your space. You know what I'm saying? And so last night, I realized that. And you know, I'm trying not to be overbearing, and he says, I'm like, what's wrong? I feel like something's wrong. Mm-hmm. And he's like, nothing's wrong, Mom. And I'm like, okay. And normally I'd be like, no, tell me, like a puppy, you know? And this time I'm like, okay, cool. Well, when you're ready to talk about it, I'm here to listen. Mm-hmm. And he says, okay. Well, he didn't say okay. He just
probably grunted.
Yeah, he's just serious. And so we're driving. He's like, can we go to grilled cheese? And I'm like, yeah. So we're on our way, on our way to the Habit, and that's when he says, he's like, I feel like running. And I'm like, okay, why? And he's all, I don't know, I just feel like running. And normally I can tell, okay, something's bothering him. That's why he feels like running, right? And he's like, you know, I'm kind of tired of this world, Mom. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on? And he says, everything's just so easy. He's like, I just want to go hunt my food down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, you want to go kill something? Like, I'm over here, but I'm trying not to be concerned, and I'm trying not to take it over the top. I'm like, okay, explain that to me. And he says, everything's so easy nowadays. He's like, I just said I was hungry and I wanted a grilled cheese, and we can just stop and get a grilled cheese. And I'm like, oh, so you're telling me you don't want a grilled cheese? You're going to go home and cook your own grilled cheese. And he's like,
no,
Mom. He's like I want to make the cheese. And I'm oh my gosh, Ezekiel. So we get on this conversation, and I'm like, if I'm hearing you correctly, I'm hearing that you want to accomplish something. Like, you want to, you know, and I think as humans, we need that. You know, we need to work towards something, you know? And that's what I was hearing him say last night to me is I want to accomplish something, Mom. Like, help me accomplish something.
He doesn't want it easy.
He doesn't want me to just hand it to him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they say, you know, idle hands are the devil's plaything. You know, so like when we become listless, that's always when I've been in my lowest.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's so and it's even, you see people who their lives, they don't have discipline or things like that, so they take on these bigger causes. Their lives are so good that they have to create the problems in it.
Right. Yeah.
I think that we always inherently want to be tested.
Yeah.
We want to, you know, at some subconscious level, we want to prove ourselves. And so but at the same time, we want to make everybody else's burdens lighter.
Yeah.
So we make everybody's life easier, and then they're worse off for it. So yeah, like, kind of going, wrapping it all back around. Like I've really in my head thought of God as Heavenly Father, and how would I treat children? Amen. So like even in your situation, so you just set back and let Him come to you.
Yeah. I'm starting to learn, because I noticed
that's what God wants us to do. He just sets back, and then it's like just
look
come
at
to
Alex
us.
schooling
Yes, because and I'm starting to learn that, because at first I was like, no, tell me. When he was little, I'd be like, oh, baby, tell me what's wrong, and he would tell me, right? Yeah. it doesn't work the same when they're going through their hormonal phases, and they get quieter sometimes.
They have to come to you.
And now I just want him to know, like, I'm here. You know, like this morning he came into my room and he laid on my bed and I said nothing. You know what I mean? Because I thought of when I was a teenager and I'd go into my mom's room and lay in her bed and she'd be like, did you get your homework done? Hey, today make sure that you do this. And I'm like, you know, hey, I'm leaving. You know, back to
why
my
not come in this bed?
Yes. And so anyways, he came into my room, he lay down with me, the dog followed, and he's sitting there laying there too. And
you gotta cherish those moments, huh?
you do. And I'm
Beautiful.
just like, as long as you know that I'm here when you need me.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to get the hang of that, because there is a part, like when he said, I feel like hunting my own food. I'm like, oh my gosh, you want to kill something? Like, you know, I'm like, girl, calm down. And no, I had to kind of, you know, keep letting him talk to understand what he was trying to tell me, right? And I've learned that as long as we're laying on the couch watching a show together and your foot is touching my foot, then I just want him to know, like, I'm here when you need me, you know?
Yeah. And so, like, with my oldest, she wanted to be a surgeon. And I told her, I kind of, you know, early on told all my kids, I'm like, because I believe in goal setting. And I told them, hey, so what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, is what's great is this can change. You have plenty of time to change your mind. But just as a for instance, what do you want to be?
Yes.
And she said, I want to be a surgeon. I said, well, then you need to do really well in school, because you're going to have at least 10 years longer than everybody else.
Right, yeah.
So you're going to have to go through it. Well, then she's actually started to develop tics. It's not been diagnosed, but it's all the monikers are there. She has Tourette's. And because, like, she's developed the whistles, the stuff like that every once in a while. Anxiety increases it. But one thing that you cannot do is perform surgery when your hand might just randomly do this.
Yes.
So she cannot be a surgeon right now.
Yeah.
And
This is your oldest?
My oldest.
Okay.
But she had kind of already geared up. So we got talking about it, and she decided that she's always loved baking. She's like, I want to own a bakery then. And she said, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, she knows the culinary school she's going to. She actually started hitting her schooling harder. And
Look at
I
that.
said, and it was kind of funny, because it was now school is the obstacle. Before that was the path.
Right.
Now it's the obstacle. She's like, I'm going to take all these AP classes. I'm going to do these extra credits, and I'm going to graduate my junior year. I'm done with school. And it was just kind of interesting. So it's like, she's like, and
I'm
that way,
taking it head on.
yeah. Now I can do this. So, like, that's like, to me, when I hear you saying, like, with your son, he wants to be challenged.
Yeah.
He, you know, and we're forged. You know, steel is forged through fire. You have to be challenged. You have to go through it. Otherwise, you're never tested.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's what you know, just take it for what it's worth. But that's what I would suggest, is just having that conversation of, like, okay, well, you know, everything's so easy. Well, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
If you could do anything, because the reality is he could do anything.
Right. Yeah.
So if you could do anything, what would you do? Oh, well, I don't know, be a YouTuber. Okay, well, we're going to try this again. That's my youngest. He wants to be.
Mine wants to make. He wants to do. You know what's funny? One of the things he said, because we're talking right now, he's just kind of like. We had this, like, Jesus conversation last night. He's like, Mom, it's not that I don't love God, and it's not that I don't love Jesus, but why do they have to make videos about Jesus in real life, Jesus, and then the cartoon Jesus, it's the cartoons for 2-year-olds. He's like, why can't they make, like, anime Jesus? And I was like, well, why can't you make anime Jesus?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's
it.
just stuff like that, because I mean, it does reach a different audience, you know. And anyways, we got into this whole conversation of how if you want something different, I was like, you could be the one to make the difference and to change that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's that saying, you know, be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I've always kind of done that as far as with my kids, is I've always, okay, well, what's next?
Yeah.
And, like, it was kind of funny, because my son, he did say, he's like, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be on Twitch. And at that age, I feel like every little boy just wants to play video games for a career.
Yeah.
And I was
Because they
like,
see you can make money.
and they're like, I like video games. I can make money.
Yeah.
And then I told them, I said, okay, so then what equipment do you need? How much is it going to cost? And like,
Right.
if you want to take a little bit more of that easier way, the
Open up
reality
his
is
eyes.
the reality is there's a lot more to it. So now he's actually, he's still a kid, so he doesn't show his face or anything like that, but he's starting to, he was telling me that he's like, Dad, I got my first donation, and he was all excited about it. On
Look
Twitch.
at that.
And I was like, well, good. It's good. And it is funny because as long as he's not on a mic, like he'll play Fortnite and he'll beat adults all the time.
Wow.
But then all of a sudden, if he gets on the mic and they can hear that he's a kid, they just drop him. They're like, oh, I don't want to play with a kid. And it's like,
Yeah.
you don't want to get beat by a kid. That's what
Yeah.
it is. So yeah, it's just kind of, it's funny how that works in that scenario. But yeah, so I think that breaking it down into, okay, well, if this is what you want to do, that's fine. What are the steps to accomplish that?
Right. Yep.
Because it's simple enough to just sit back and say, that's great. Like, this is a dream.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's make it a goal.
Right.
Let's
yeah.
take those steps.
Take those dreams,
Yeah.
make it into goals. That's a good one.
So,
Like that.
I mean, I guess we got off a little bit of topic and
No,
Jesus, but I feel like it's still
amazing.
circular. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's
I-
so good to hear your story.
I know, and I'm glad. I mean, of course, we're going to follow back up with you.
Yeah.
That's not it.
This is
So,
just the
I
beginning,
mean-
Alex. You're only a month in.
So
Yes.
But I just think it's amazing where you are. It's like
Yeah.
just a month difference for me is what I'm kind of like, it's only been a month, you know? So
Yeah, it kind of,
really cool.
when I didn't really realize that that's how long it's been until
it's short.
sitting here. I was
Yeah.
like, all of that crammed into a month. This has been
a lot.
a lot.
Which is a lot. Yeah. And
Actually, it was your friend, when I was talking to her, we kind of got on this topic a little bit.
Did you?
And I said, yeah, sometimes it just feels like a fire hose. And she said, and I'm going to butcher it, and so you'll have to ask her what she said because it was so poignant, but it was effective. Like, well, yeah, when God turns on the fire hose, it's so that he can put out them fires. And I was just like the way she said it, it was just like, it made so much sense in that moment. And I was just
You're
like,
like,
you're right.
I was like, oh yeah, because like I'm asking for, if you ask for these things and then all of a sudden the floodgates open,
yeah.
don't ask for water if you're
Don't.
not prepared to swim. Like,
But it's true, because you ask for something, he's gonna give it to you, and then you're like, oh, well, I wasn't. He's like, well, I wasn't
Yeah.
prepared, and I've been in that spot. I'm like, Rita, stop asking, because he's gonna do it,
Yeah.
because you want it, he's gonna do it,
Yeah.
So I love it. I think that's awesome.
I
Sorry,
just
go
kind of
ahead.
felt like in the moment,
Yeah.
like with your son, it's
Yeah.
almost like when your son does approach you,
Yeah.
just kind of taking that back to
Yeah.
what we're talking about with God, like. Oh, he wants it. He's finally ready. All right, here you go. Here you go.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I just want to sit on the bed with you for a minute.
Yes. Yep.
Let's take a
Yep.
breath.
I love it.
Yep.
But,
And that's such a beautiful analogy. And I think sometimes, I know for me, I lose that thought, even with my relationship with God, is sometimes I'm like, oh, here I come again with my issues,
Yeah.
But in reality, he wants you to come, just like we want
Yeah.
our children. Like if Ezekiel was in some trouble, or he was feeling some kind of way, or feeling sad, down, depressed, I don't know, whatever, about anything, like I would hope that he can come to me. And I know there's going to be times where he doesn't come to me, and there's going to be times where he goes to somebody completely different, and maybe somebody that will want to guide him in the wrong direction. You know what I mean? But I hope that he, at the end of the day, can talk about it with me. We can pray about it. We can, see what we can do. But I think that's, as a parent, that's what we want our kids to be able to do, is to talk to us.
Well, and like even with your children, you don't expect them to be perfect. You expect them to make mistakes.
Right.
Why would we hold God to any other
Yes.
standard
Yeah.
when it comes to his children? Like
Right.
that's why Jesus was here, is because he knew we were screw ups.
Right.
We're all a hot mess.
Yes.
And so
We are all a hot mess.
I mean,
Yes.
if you even look at the people who stand out, like Peter, I'm gonna stretch in here a little bit, but like
he's
Peter
like
killed
looking around.
or denied him 3 times. I think it was
Yeah.
Paul set out to kill Christians originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on,
David
Alex,
was
with the Bible
infidelity.
trivia.
Yeah. So these are very imperfect people
Right.
accomplishing God's work.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so I think that was the other side of it for me, is to remember that it's not about being perfect. It's about being better.
Yes.
It's not about making like, and I think that when we get this idea of being perfect, it also creates a fear in us that we're not. And I think that if there's one thing that the enemy works through is fear. So wherever he can put that fear, even if it's how many people have you seen that do get this holier than thou aspect of, because they're so fearful of hell they become a bad person.
Right.
Like,
oh my gosh.
like
See, you keep opening these cans of worms.
I'm like, Sandra, no,
We'll
leave it
later.
alone.
We'll talk later. But yeah.
so
That's
like
so true.
I feel like if God is abundance and God is light, then there's no room for fear there.
Ooh.
Yes.
So just
Yes.
There is
the
no
mole-
room,
No
for,
room for
fear.
fear.
I like that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to you're just gonna have to go through all of these and
Yeah.
just set it up
We're
with your
gonna
merch
have
shop. You're just gonna be like, here's a T-shirt, here's a
Here's a
T-shirt.
cup.
We're gonna have to do a part 3,
Here's
Alex.
your pen.
So yeah,
Wow.
that's. I mean, these are just kind of the inner workings of my head. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank
definitely.
you so much for coming today.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's
For
great.
giving us an
Thanks for
update.
having me. This is
Yeah.
And
this
we're
is
gonna
fun,
keep
too.
we're gonna keep updating, like doing little updates. Like I said, we
Yeah.
might show up at your job and be like, "Hey, how are
Yeah.
you today? What's going on?"
Yeah,
You know?
and it's always welcome. It's kind of, I mean, like I said, I'm pretty mobile, so you might have to catch me and be like,
Okay.
"Where are you gonna be
Be like, "Where are
today?"
you driving?"
Yeah,
Catch you
O'Hare?
on the road.
yeah. So like, I just kind of, my laptop is kind of always with me, so it's just whatever. Especially when like working with the people that I do, you never know where you're gonna be.
Yeah, that would be
Right.
fun though. To meet up
But-
somewhere and be like, "Hey, let's go."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, and I do think that actually I welcome that, because it, like I say, a little shot of good never
Yeah.
hurt. So
Yeah.
just like, where you at? You know what? I'm having a terrible day. Well,
Well,
let's change that.
well, we're coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, any message, anything you want to leave our viewers and listeners? I mean, you've given us some really great.
You've given us some great golden nuggets.
Yes, they've
I
been
hope.
awesome. I love them.
I don't know. Just, I guess if anything is just, sometimes I feel like these are just ramblings and just the way I put the world together. So take it for what it's worth. But if anybody is thinking that they have to be a certain way, I just remember that God knows you're a hot mess, and He's willing to work it. You're
Yes.
Yeah.
just be the clay and let Him sculpt.
Ooh.
Be the clay and let him sculpt. And with that, we leave you with that.
Remember, I'm like trying to get to the. I'm like, how do I
Read it. Catch it.
I know. I'm trying. Remember to be bold.
Be brave and be better.